GMV episode 51. I'm Luke,
I'm Joe.
and we're back at it, man. Another Skype episode here. So we just had some technical difficulties, shitty Skype connection. From what I hear, that's kind of like a common thing, especially when you're trying to podcast over Skype. So hopefully that doesn't bother us throughout here. We don't know exactly what it is. If anyone had, like I said before, any tips on how to make a podcast better over Skype, I've already looked up a lot of shit about that, and it seems to be working out pretty well. Like, I'm happy with the quality of the last two episodes. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, most definitely.
yeah, hopefully that doesn't fuck with us on this one. But we'll see, man. It's a rainy Sunday here in Vermont. Nice. We're fully into fall, man. Got all that fall foliage and shit. And this is I'll keep it brief on this because I'm thinking we actually broke this down last year, man. Because this is something I'm sure a lot of people who aren't from New England that they don't know about. Foliage season is like one of our biggest tourist attractions. I would say probably outside of ski season, because you get all these wild colors on the trees, and it's a nice looking place anyway. So you get it's Columbus Day weekend, or around here all these shitty little hippie towns. This is so funny to me, man. They have a fish like Brattleboro, which is the decent sized town for Vermont, so small for anywhere else, but decent sized town for us. It's like right near where we grew up. They officially changed Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. So,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Like, what I'm saying is, if there was something about Columbus Day, or anyone who hasn't heard this bullshit at this point, what it is, it's like Columbus, one, technically didn't discover America because there's already people here. There's other explorers who had landed on American soil first.
Probably
Columbus,
well before.
he was like the one who really blew it wide open, the one who got like the funding. I think it was from the French government, but it might have been Great Britain or whatever. Whoever he was working for at that time,
Yeah.
He convinced them to fund his expedition. Came over here. Apparently, like, wasn't the nicest guy to the natives. You know what I mean? Like, killed a lot of people,
Yeah.
might have enslaved, all sorts of shit. The issue is, you got to put it in context. Because I'm not at all. I'm saying like any of that is a good thing to do, but that was the status quo. Like, a lot of times this gets brought up too often, and it is really fucked up what happened to the Native Americans here, but that's how literally every place, and it actually happened like this. Like, I don't know of a single place that didn't. Every place that settled in the world, that's how it happened. Some group came over and took over another group at some time. That's how human histories work. So it doesn't make any of that stuff good, but it's like, to now try to make amends for it, you're kind of like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? You can't really. A lot of bad things have happened in history, for sure. You can't make up for it. So, in my opinion, Columbus Day was stupid the whole time. Like, why are we celebrating some old explorer anyway? So, turns out he's a shithead. Let's just ditch the holiday. Like, calling it Indigenous Peoples Day. Like, you can't even give them Native American Day. Come on, you can't even give them that much. Just Indigenous. That's just some bullshit to me. So
it's like a slap in the face. Like, we still can't really hook you up.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we won't blatantly like celebrate the guy who murdered a bunch of your ancestors, but we won't really give you credit for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just weird, man. But that's the kind of hippie shit that is just rampant in Vermont. So, is what it is. From the vibe I get from you, it's not quite as like, there's a lot of hippiness going on in Colorado, but it's not quite as I guess just liberal about it. You know what I mean? Like, over the top.
It's a little
pushing.
different.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little different because we have so many mixes too. Like, people come from all over here. I definitely noticed that there's not a lot of people that, like, especially in Colorado Springs itself, that actually grew up here and have lived here for more than, say, 15, 20 years. Move here from other places, so they got like that, new area. A lot of them know it pretty well, but like, I've only been here 5 years, 3 years, or whatever. But around here, it's a little different when we get, in with the natives. They actually hook us up with some bud, like we were talking about on our previous hit. My neighbor just came over, knocked on the door, actually held the podcast up a little bit, but it was well worth it. He gave me a little tasty treat for Sunday. You grew a plant next door. That's one of the big positives about Colorado. And then I got neighbors on the other side of the fucking constantly asking me if I want to burn one because they're rolling up in the morning. It's pretty badass.
Dude, yeah, as consumers ourselves, both of us, clearly that's just nice, man, to have that kind of culture going on. Because we have that in Vermont, but it's still, just like it has been everywhere else, has been heavily suppressed because the shit's illegal most places. Even
like I definitely. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not. I was just gonna say, even when we have, it's like pretty relaxed laws, decriminalized here. And I want to bring up too, New Hampshire just finally decriminalized, which for me personally was about 7 years too late, but it's still a good thing. Still a good thing. I had a little issue when I was at the University of New Hampshire as a college freshman, but is what it is. I'm not mad about it. I'm glad that they finally came around. Because New Hampshire really is, like, if you look at the map, New Hampshire is just the inverse of Vermont. Like, you flip it around, man. I have this Vermont tattoo on my forearm. You flip that upside down, like, that's New Hampshire. They really are, like, opposites. And how the people and the politics go, and, like, the whole kind of little microculture you get in the state, it really is, like, New Hampshire is just kind of like the opposite of us. Very similar, but just everything flipped a little bit. And I like that, man. I fuck with New Hampshire. I like it a lot over there. I have a lot of good friends there, and I go there, and, man, I'm going over to the New Hampshire coast at least 3 or 4 times a year, and I wish I could go more. And we talked about this a while ago too. The New Hampshire coast is like a couple miles, but there are a few nice little towns there.
It's nice. It's definitely nice. The one thing that I don't understand between New Hampshire being so close and literally only a river dividing the two is that New Hampshire has like twice the lakes and like the water reserve that Vermont has, which is fucking crazy, man. And I think we even talked about it before because I learned it like not too long ago, probably about 8-9 months ago. I was talking to a game warden and stuff, and I just couldn't believe it. It made a whole bunch of sense to me. When we hike Monadnock, we look out, what do we see? Just fucking ponds and lakes and shit everywhere, you know? I wonder what the difference is.
However that geology played out, man, I don't know if it was glaciers, if it was floods or what. That's some you got to get that guy who's been on Rogan, Randall Carlson, to break that kind of stuff down.
Oh hell yeah!
But they're small enough that our little state where we drew the lines, we really only have, you got the one giant lake, Champlain, that is in between Vermont and New York, up in the northwest corner. But that's it. And then some other tiny little, like, basically we got some big ponds. Other than that,
they're big ponds is exactly what they are. Yeah.
Outside of Lake Champlain, Vermont's lakes are like our mountains. The mountains aren't really mountains; they're big hills. Lakes aren't really lakes either; they're big ponds, man.
Yeah.
But is what it is. It's still some damn nice scenery, and I don't even know what it is. Like I mean, most seasons are decent here. We've been over that before, but I've always liked fall, man. I think it's because it was football season, you know, just good vibes around here. Always bonfires and shit going on when we were growing up around. That's just some country shit. So I think it just kind of connect that this time of year with good times. So I've always liked it, man. Fall's prime time for me.
Hell yeah, trying to get those barbecues in and stuff. The last few barbecues are always good. You get all your friends over and stuff.
Yeah, it's
I definitely
hiking weather.
Yeah, hell yeah. You don't get too hot, you know, but it's just sunny enough to make it feel comfortable throughout the day and stuff. I mean, honestly, I'm really liking, other than the fact that the past 2 weeks have been cool and damp here, like, everybody's told me to move it to a dry, sunny state, and for, like, just about 3 weeks, we've been fucking rainy, damp, fucking Vermont weather here. Like, it's been fucked, and yesterday and today, beautiful, man, like, sun shining, the mountains are super crisp, it looks like you can't even describe how clear the view is here sometimes, like, because back home we have humidity and shit, you know what I mean? So when you're looking out in the view, you could see a lot of humidity, or you could just, like, kind of see the air, it's a little thicker. Around here, it's fucking clear, and it makes a huge difference. And it's cool out here. I mean, we have some foliage for sure. We were hiking up in the Cheyenne Canyon Mountains yesterday. We did a good hike, probably like a 3.5 miler, and we brought some new people around, show them the mountains, and we have foliage. It's nowhere near Vermont, that's for sure. We got a lot of hemlock, so it's a lot of green, but it's pretty dope to look up on the mountains and you see like all these like green gold, just like gold little flakes. That's what it looks like. It looks like somebody literally just sprinkled gold flakes right all over the mountain because there's only so many trees that change and they all change the same color. It's like this real bright, vivid gold. It's really nice. It's something to look at. And I still have a hard time today. Like I was talking to a friend that just moved here from Vermont, and I was like, man, I've been here 3 months. Leave when I'm up in the mountains of Colorado, like outside Colorado Springs, up in the Rockies, hiking, that I'm actually here still. You know, like fucking blows my mind. You know.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and it's going to get more and more normal the longer you live there, but do your best, man, to remind yourself of how cool it is being out in the mountains there, you know what I mean? Because it is hard to keep appreciating shit like that. Like, we've both been through that just here in Vermont. Like, it's easy to just forget how nice the place is. But if you just, I don't know, it's not as much like consciously reminding yourself as just making sure you do stuff like go out on some badass hike every couple months or something, because you can't go climb a mountain with a sick view and not get a little appreciation from that.
Hell no, yeah.
So it's about putting yourself in positions to appreciate what you have around you. That's the kind of reminder that works for me. So,
you know, I felt like I did it right when I left Vermont. Before I left, I did a bunch of shit, as much as I possibly could, like Vermont. You know what I did is I ended up driving up to Burlington, which is about 2 hours away from where I live, 2.5 hours where we live, Westminster area, Putney area. But we went to Mount Mansfield, which is the tallest mountain in Vermont, you know, and me and my friend Tom Berg, we hiked Hell's Brook. Some people might know it. It's fucking rugged. It's a straight up. It's 2 miles directly up. You just incline. I think you're climbing about 2,000 feet. The mountain, I think, is 4,200 feet, which is shit for out here because I'm already at.
Yeah, we already aired that out, man. We don't have mountains,
but anyways,
still a good climb.
yeah. But anyways, I really appreciated it, like big time. Like from the top of that mountain, I could see Lake Champlain. I could see like you could even see the other side over into New York, and just the mountain ranges of Vermont. Definitely gave me a whole different outlook of it a little bit. Like I've definitely spent a lot of time in Middlebury and stuff, and they got some good mountains out there, but I don't know, something about being on top of Mount Mansfield, it was a very central point. It felt like what I could see from there was really nice, the mountain ranges and stuff. I have a hard time, I guess, describing it, but it reminded me a lot of the mountains out here. You know, it has big giant rocks just hanging out of a mountain, and then you got real steep peaks and stuff. And it really surprised me, honestly. Like, I've hiked a lot around Vermont, and when I got to the top of that, I was like, holy shit, this is Vermont? Like, I really was like, oh, damn, like, I couldn't believe it. It really made me appreciate it, and I definitely love that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Put yourself in positions like that, and it's almost impossible to not gain a little like renewed appreciation of some, if you're in a nice place, man. But you can probably work that out in some way almost anywhere. But man, I'm just seeing you're wearing a Colorado Springs Jiu-Jitsu shirt. You how's
hell yeah.
You got that Jiu-Jitsu shirt on. It just made me think there was a pretty big UFC event last night. I don't know, I'm sure most people have heard Rogan talk about this. The little dude in the flyweight division, Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, he was going for the record number of title defensive. I believe he had 10, and this would be 11, so it would break Anderson Silva's record. So cool, a great accomplishment. He doesn't get the recognition for it because he's a flyweight. I mean, dude's tiny. It just is what it is. It's awesome. The fights are fun to watch. They're cool, but I don't know if it's just the fact that they're small or the fact that even though they're still crazy athletes and they beat the fuck out of each other, maybe they don't do as much damage as the bigger weight classes, so that you don't see like as many one-punch KOs and stuff. But for whatever reason, they don't get as much hype. I think he might have pushed himself over the top of this, and he might even get a little mainstream coverage because he was getting a little bit of looks like on ESPN and might have mentioned that he was about to break the title because he's been housing everyone in that division. It was pretty much, it's never a sure thing in fighting, of course, but he was the heavy favorite. Like it would be a huge upset if he had lost to this guy and not gotten the record. Guess how he got the record, man? How he finished the fight. So I believe it was the 4th round. He dominated the first 3 rounds. He really just he won on the feet. Most of it was grappling, and he tried a few submissions. The other guy was another jiu-jitsu's on point, so it was not easy in any ways. But DJ is dominating the first 3 rounds. In the 4th round, you're gonna have to look this shit up immediately after we see you. Have to look it up during the podcast so we can get your reaction. Hopefully that won't fuck with our connection here. He grabbed him in like a suplex position, so that's a body lock, like right around, basically like right under the hips, you know.
Yeah.
And I think most people know what a suplex is at this point, but I'm just giving the breakdown for anyone who might not know. It's like a body lock. You be behind them and pick them up and flip them over yourself. What he did, so he picked him up, so the other guy's fully airborne. As he started to flip him, he turned. So while the other guy's fucking airborne, man, grabs an arm bar and jumps into an arm bar as the guy's falling out of the suplex that I'm not kidding. And then still, the guy, it took him good like 5, maybe even, probably about 5 seconds to lock the arm bar up. Like, he was not coming easy. The most badass submission I've ever seen, man. Like, I'm sure there's other crazy stuff in just jiu-jitsu tournaments, but this has to be the nastiest submission ever thrown in a UFC fight. I mean, I know like hardcore fans will be able to quote other ones. Rogan probably has some, but I cannot wait to hear him go on about this, because he's been a huge advocate of this guy forever as the pound for pound best, which he probably is. The reason, as I broke down a second ago, it's just him being so light. It's hard to argue him versus John Jones, stuff like that. But are you looking it up, man?
Yeah.
So just look up Mighty Mouse submission. It should come right up because it just happened last night. Man, that shit was insane. So I think it might be enough of a highlight that it'll get him a little more recognition, hopefully a little more fame, more money, all that, because he deserves it. I mean, he's just a little miniature savage out there crushing this whole division, and hopefully now that he's broke this record and he's so established, for sure the greatest of all time at that weight, maybe he'll like go up a weight class or accept to fight a guy from a different weight class coming down, something to really cement his legacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with him? Have you ever seen that little guy fight before?
I have seen him fight a couple times a while ago, honestly. I think it was in the beginning of his fame and stuff, honestly. But I feel I have definitely a different respect for the little guys, honestly, like especially doing jiu-jitsu. I went up against this little dude. He had to be like 130 pounds, 140 pounds. So like, just to give you an example, like when he grabbed my wrist and I shoved my arm back, I could push his whole body back. Like he was pretty small. Mm-hmm. But like the one thing that I could see about these guys, I mean, I was much stronger and I was pretty quick. They were very consistent with their moves and very hard. It was almost hard to like wrap up a smaller dude than you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, if they know how to what do they call it? Shelling up or like shrimping up, or what's the
shrimping up? Well, shrimping up is when you're like shrimping out. Like you just like kind of fucking turn to your side and like shrimp yourself towards your, like bring your face to your knees as fast as you can type of thing, and get yourself out of the position you're in. But yeah, when they're doing that type of stuff, they can like weave in and out of your arms and shit. And I was going up against some big guys for a while just because I'm bigger, so I think everybody just assumes that I need to go against big guys. But anyway, those guys, like we all have hard times sometimes getting out of each other's holds. And I have a totally, just like I was saying, just different respect on like the stamina that those little guys can have, how quick they can be, and how fucking like sneaky they are. Like they fucking got some shit going on.
The thing about little guys, and this almost holds up across the board, and this is why it's too bad they don't get more recognition in all sports, is because they almost always have to use better technique than the bigger guys. And then occasionally, like with Demetrius Johnson, even though he's 5'3", he weighs in at 125, so who knows his actual, I don't know, maybe the guy's like 140 pounds, 150 pounds or something. But he's a freak athlete too, even just being small. So then when he combines that really everything about his technique is picture perfect. Even to someone like me, I'm no MMA expert. You can just see it, like every little, his body's just always in the right position. Just move, whether it's a screen, like and honestly, man, and I'm sure it's on YouTube at this point. go look up that fight and watch the whole thing if you have a minute today, because it's mostly just jiu-jitsu and wrestling, is so absurdly on point. Like the other guy, what he's known for is scrambling, being able to get out of positions, and often, like, I think he has like 5 or 6 rear naked chokes on his very, like, a very accomplished submission artist in his own right. Every time there's a scramble, like, it doesn't even look like DJ's working hard. He just, like, shifts a little and ends up right on top of the guy, like, just where he's supposed to be, right in the position. And you see and this is where Rogan really shines as a UFC commentator. It's so helpful. Like, he's like, all right, he's going for a head and arm choke, then he's switching the Kimura back and forth, and even, like, I can recognize some of it at this point. I've been a fan of MMA for a little while, watched plenty of fights, but still, like, I don't know much about jiu-jitsu at all the terminology and stuff. Rogan just breaks it down perfect. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, like, as soon as he moves his head over there, he's working for that choke. Like, it's obvious when someone tells you, and that's really just, that makes the whole, as a spectator, like someone watching the sport, it makes it so much better. They're going to be hard-pressed, because Rogan's on his way out of the UFC, man. He's been talking about that for the last few years. I hope he stays for a couple more years.
Hopefully he does specials or something, like comes in for the good fights or something.
I could see that, like, maybe when it gets around to UFC 300, like the next gigantic man, bring him back or something. But from what he says on his podcast, he just doesn't like to travel. And let's be real, man, what he's done with his podcast, it's just getting so big that's taking more and more focus off anything else he wants to do. And he's still killing it as a comedian and all that, working on specials and all that kind of shit. But back to
it's got to have made him better. It's got to have made him better, just being paying attention to other people fighting and being able to call it out so quick and just seeing the moves. Like when he's rolling, he has to have just had gains just from doing that for such a long time.
You hear it a lot with sports in general, but particularly with martial arts. You say when someone starts teaching or coaching, it ups their game significantly. So we'll just say on jiu-jitsu, like, you start showing someone how to do an arm bar, and we've even talked about this in weightlifting in the past. Like, so we'll bring it right back to us, because I shouldn't be talking about jiu-jitsu yet, man. I don't even know all the terms and stuff. I show someone how to bench press. I'm saying get your scapula retracted, get your elbows in the right position, all that stuff, wrists, try to bend the bar, all the normal bench press cues. Then it reminds me, oh, yeah, I need to do those cues too. I need to be on point with them, you know what I mean? Oh, maybe my upper back wasn't as tight as it should have been or whatever. So whenever I've showed someone how to bench, squat, or deadlift, it's always reminded me to fix little areas that I could do. So it's very logical. Like, say you're showing someone how to throw an arm bar, it's going to up your game too, and in all aspects, like all the little the basic stuff that you don't need against most people, but maybe it will make a difference if you're really evenly matched against some guy, or if maybe that guy's a little stronger than you, so you need a little bit better technique. So this is what I'm getting at. What you said with the commentary, I would assume it's similar to coaching someone, how that ups your game. Being a commentator and analyzing it would help a fighter get a better perspective and maybe work on areas of their game. And a lot of fighters do commentate. Like currently they have Daniel Cormier. He's the current light heavyweight champ, the guy that John Jones knocked out, but then that whole steroid deal. So Cormier is back as champ. Michael Bisping, he's a middleweight champ. He commentates. Tyron Woodley, welterweight champ. Damn, they have like all the champs commentating. They have a string of other fighters. The issue is, and this is the thing, I bet if they approached it perfectly, it could really help their game. It seems, for the most part, to kind of fuck with them just because it takes so much time away from their training. And being a high-level athlete of any sport, for sure, a fighter, it's got to be all in, man. There's no one... Ronda Rousey showed that clearer than anything. You can't go off, film a bunch of movies, then come train on the side and just rely on your natural talent and all that. It's not working. And the fighters who do it right, like Conor's a great example of it.
I was just going to say, Conor. I mean, that's what he's probably going to jump into.
Demetrius Johnson is another perfect one. He's got his training perfect. Like when his career really took off, and this is another Rogan fact, was when he moved closer to his coach. He trained somewhere out of Seattle with some MMA genius, one of the better coaches in the game. before he was like, I think, driving a couple hours, so he just moved closer, so he's near the gym, near the coach, so he could train on a perfect schedule, and then his career just took off, and shit, he probably hasn't lost since, because even him being arguably the best pound for pound fighter currently and probably ever, he still, like, he has losses on his record. He lost to Dominic Cruz, guy who used to be a champ in a higher weight class, but he's still a dude. It's just, it's hard. Even I'd be curious, someone who hasn't even watched any fighting at all, because like when you see someone who's really great at something, it almost doesn't matter if you're into it or not. Like, that's the Muhammad Ali effect. Everyone knows Muhammad Ali and appreciates his skill as a boxer, even though most people do not give a fuck about boxing. You know what I mean? Who cares about boxing? I know a lot of the stuff, he did a lot of other stuff outside of it, like the Vietnam War protests, all that. I think that got him a little even more mainstream, but still, whatever, the Muhammad Ali's, the Michael Jordans, Wayne Gretzky, you can just appreciate that without having any interest in their sport at all. Just seeing greatness at it. That's why I'm always telling people, right now, don't sleep on LeBron. Even if you hate him, even if you don't like basketball, every once in a while, like maybe when he's in the finals again this year, because he probably will be. I mean, he's LeBron. They got D-Wade traded to who, we'll see how it works out, but he's at least, they'll do well, because they do every year with the team they have at the core right now. Watch a game or two, because that's you're watching one of the best athletes this world's ever seen. It's just, it's like a shame not to, you know what I mean? You're missing out. And you're like, you don't have to like basketball at all to appreciate LeBron dominating these other world-class athletes, you know, dunking all over, doing all that shit. Like, we're talking the best of the best, and makes them look like kids on the playground. So
yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying, man. So anyone, even if you aren't a big fight fan, but even if you are a fight fan and you're one of those people, like, and I guess this is kind of me too, you know, and I still don't know why, like I was trying to get at it earlier, why the lower weight classes, the super light ones, and this is with boxing, like the 120 pound, you know, it's just not as exciting for whatever reason. Demetrius Johnson is worth watching, absolutely. At least just watch one fight just to see. Like, it's just so slick, the shit he does, man. Special. Did you get that video? Were you able to find it?
I did watch that video. It's pretty fucking impressive, man. Like, it
suplex armbar. I mean,
I know. Like, you can't get much better than that. Honestly, like, what the fuck? I don't even know how you'd even come up to start defending something like that. You know, like, I'm starting to learn some mainly defensive moves and techniques there in my jiu-jitsu training here. I'm only 3 weeks in now, so I'm doing all right. I definitely can't like recall a bunch of names, that's for sure, and proper terminology for moves, but learning some arm bars and stuff, and it's really coming along quite nice. It's just I can't see it yet. Like, I can't even imagine combining those fucking moves together like that, you know?
Yeah.
Some of these guys, even that I roll with and shit, they just move so, like, they almost have like an eye on their foot. You know, literally, like, where they're just throwing their leg around with so much, like, speed, like, because literally they're flexible enough, but it's hard to, say, get your foot in the position. So they just use the quick snapping force to, like, force their foot in or their knee in to wherever it is. And
the same way, man, I can draw an easy parallel, like, to throw a high kick at someone's head. I can't sit here, I don't have the flexibility, not even flexible, I don't have the mobility to just raise my leg, like, up to head level. I can't kick it up there, so that it's the exact same thing. It's just that crazy body awareness and the fluidity to put it all together in the moment and throw. Yeah, that stuff's special.
While you're trying to think and learn and shit, it's fucking intense, man. Like, I finally got it so that I pay attention to my leg. Like, I feel anybody's foot or anything like coming toward, my legs are out now. Like, that's how they were getting me a lot of my time, because I was paying attention to what was going on directly in front of me, and everybody else keeps paying attention to fucking what I have going on, like, from my waist down, you know, because once you control somebody's hips, you got them. I mean, that's really the game of jiu-jitsu. You control somebody's hips and shit, you got a lot of work from there. You can do pretty much anything. I've had people fucking house me just from getting a hold of my knees, working their way into my hips, and then I couldn't do so much, you know, and it's really a game of space, You
Dude,
know,
I like that you said that right there because one, Rogan was just talking about it on his podcast. Dude, did you listen to the Russell Brand episode?
I haven't. I just downloaded that, honestly.
Shit, man, he's that crazy English guy, like actor, comedian, but he, especially when he gets together with someone like Rogan, it's just ridiculous, dude. The amount of knowledge that gets dropped, and they're the same way that Rogan or any like high level talker like that can do. They just go off on riffs about all kinds of shit and then tie it all right back together all at once. Like it's insane. So that's one of the best episodes he's had in a while, and that's saying something, man. You know how hard we ride for the Joe Rogan experience here. So that one is ridiculous. Highly recommend anyone listen to that. But yeah, they were talking about a little jiu-jitsu and just that exactly what you just said. How keeping minimizing the space is just one of the keys between it. And you took that right off what you said, controlling the hips. I think things like that, like just focusing on those fundamentals, and as I just said, I haven't trained jiu-jitsu. I'm a casual fan of MMA and grappling for sure, but I don't know shit about it. I don't even know, and I don't know the terms, any of that. But I think this would apply to anything you're trying to learn. Try to take the concepts like that, like what you just said, control the hips, then you have control of the other person's movement, and drill the fuck out of that. You know what I mean? Get that. It's just like the fundamentals of anything, but I think that's, as far as I can tell, that's the best way to learn stuff, as opposed to like trying to learn a suplex flying armbar before you really have.
That's a little rugged, yeah. Well, the other thing too that is a challenge, which I didn't think of until now, of course, that I'm doing it. But when we're practicing those things, like it's a lot easier for me to practice, like keep my arms in tight or focus on the hips, versus like when we do practice doing arm bars or leg bars or whatever the fuck we're doing, even some chokes, you kind of got to throw some momentum in it. Like say you're going to do an arm bar and you're trying to spin around their hip or whatever, or spin around their shoulder and fucking lock in their arm. You almost like, it's hard to do it half speed, honestly, when you're not used to it. Like, my instructor, he makes it look so easy and it's very smooth, and he doesn't look like he's going to rip the other dude's arm off. We're all practicing, so we're trying to be friendly. And I weigh like 200 pounds, and I'm pretty solid, so like I notice when I'm on people, it's not like when I'm on like a rounder dude than me, like he's all right. But when I'm on like the skinny dudes, it's a lot of single weighted pressure. So like for me to spin around on their shoulder and like fall down with their arm in my hand, I feel like literally I'm gonna rip their fucking arm right off their shoulder. Like
if you think
it's
about
some of the challenge.
You got about 200 pounds of mass, so you falling back, like I don't know what force that is. I know it's a fuckload. So you fall back and just roll a little too far. Yeah, you rip their rotator cuff, all the bicep tendon, all sorts of stuff. So man, think about. Same thing, like we're trying to practice head kicks. I'm supposed to lightly swing, because as I said, myself and most people don't have. You have to have some Bruce Lee level like kicking ability to just lift your leg. You know that scene in Enter the Dragon where he like, lifts his legs up and turns. Yeah, most of us can't do that. So if you're swinging your leg up and then you're supposed to stop it perfectly, like what I tend to do, and when I'm practicing, this just makes sense to me. Is I'm always gonna shoot for going a little short if there's a risk like that of, say, kicking someone in the head. And that's the kind of people I would want to train with. I'm not trying to train with someone who wants to kick your head off like just to learn to kick. That's not practical training. So I actually
I don't know how it is to train for like so what is it exactly that you're in? Muay Thai?
Muay Thai, yeah.
Muay Thai. So I don't know how it is training
we got to explain. Muay Thai is basically just kickboxing for some slight differences.
I was going to say kickboxing, but I wanted to be technical.
We'll call it it's kickboxing with elbows and knees, but that's the only difference. And a lot of kickboxers bounce and Muay Thai fighters bounce back and forth. So I would guess in the very near future it's basically the same thing, like because there's so much crossover between the two. So we'll call it kickboxing.
How did you feel about training? Do you feel like you get fucking pretty well beat up and shit? Like you do?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of it is going to be how you train, how your instructor wants you to train. And my guy's a pretty hard line on like the traditional Thai approach. Like that's how he learned originally in Thailand, well, from a Thai instructor, and then went over to Thailand after that. And yeah, they like the Thai training approach to Muay Thai. And I said this at the very beginning when I first started this. That's not my style at all. I'm very interested in learning it right now, but a lot of we've touched on this in the past, man. Training is evolving so fast because there's so many more people doing it and mixing disciplines. Like, it doesn't make sense to do crazy sparring sessions all the time. It doesn't. But in, say, like traditional Muay Thai, yeah, they beat the fuck out of each other all the time from a very young age. That's part of the mentality. Another thing that doesn't make sense to do at all, and we do it somewhat, not to the extreme like traditional Muay Thai fighters in Thailand would do, but I'm listening to an interview, so it's I think I mentioned it last time, another great podcast I've been listening to called Sigma Nutrition. Some Irish guy, just like great science-based nutrition, a lot of training, and he's got real interesting people on. So he's talking to about some guys. He works with a lot of fighters and Muay Thai fighters as well. He's working in conjunction with his friend who's a trainer, so he's hitting the nutrition, the other guy's hitting the training stuff, and he's like, I'm training these Thai fighters, and they want to run a 10K before they go drill like their techniques, and I'm like, that does not make sense, but that's the traditional Thai mentality, and it does. It works in the sense of like, yes, it'll get you in crazy shape, and it's also mostly just like a mental toughness thing. Like, you'd run that far and then put in the work. Yeah, there's no way you're going to be out of shape, but like we always go back to, is it the optimal way to train? Of course that's not the optimal way to train. It would be to break it up, periodize the training, throw in your intervals here, there, whatever, so maximize, all the stuff. I don't need to dig it all into that now, but just hammering miles, like, are miles necessary? Probably, in some way, but are doing them right before practice? Like, do I think that's the best way to do it? No, but like, what we do and I've said this before, but just in case it's anyone who didn't hear that, like how my Muay Thai practice setup's 2 hours. We start at 6. Generally, we're running for a couple miles to longer runs. So it's going to be about 30 to 60 minutes of running. Then the second hour or more, if it was a shorter run, is going to be the work. So it's going to be pad work, drills, bag work, maybe some light sparring. But do I think that's the best way to set it up? No. But I also, I'm not trying to act like I know how everything should be done at the very beginning. I've been training Muay Thai for 3 months, you know what I mean? I just want to experience learn what I can learn, and then it's like, you know what I mean, you start training any discipline at the beginning, weightlifting, you start working, maybe follow a program, get the basics, and then if you want to tweak it yourself, do it. I don't know enough about Muay Thai and kickboxing to make my own training program at this point, like I would with weights, you know what I mean? So I can already tell things that personally I wouldn't do it like that, and damn sure not recommending anyone run a 10K before they go drill leg kicks, but that's how some guys like to train. I personally think that's one of the things that won't carry on, won't cross over from Muay Thai, because it's getting so popular, especially in America, but probably all over the world, to take these Muay Thai techniques because they work so well in MMA and all that. I don't think the types of training they do in terms of the crazy high mileage and stuff is going to really cross over, because it just from an exercise physiology standpoint, it doesn't make sense. It's not the most effective way to go about it. It does work, I can't deny that, but I don't think it's the optimal way to go about it. But back to your actual question, man, what is really going to do the damage to you all, that I'm really just talking about training, is the hard sparring. So that's another thing, Muay Thai fighters are notorious for sparring hard, really just having wars in the gym, like a lot of old boxers were too, you know what I mean? And still, a lot of MMA fighters do. That seems to be, and I'm gathering this mostly from what Rogan says, people I don't know if you listened to the interview with Cowboy Cerrone. He's a pretty well-known fighter.
Oh yeah.
Hard-headed motherfucker for sure, but he now rarely spars. He's been through that, done it. So the thing
Rogan says it all the time. You only have so many clocks to the dome. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You can only there's so many until you check out.
From my standpoint, it's just obvious you want to minimize that, but this is the thing. So for any individual, and we'll just focus on kickboxing, we don't have to go into MMA or any other kind of combat. So if we're just talking about kickboxing, to get comfortable in a one-on-one fight situation in the kickboxing ring, you're going to have some kind of experience like that. I think it would be very rare for someone to purely just be able to train pads and then just go right and fight and it to work smoothly. you're gonna have to, because it's very disoriented. Like you get knocked in the head even when you block it. Like you get off balance, you get whatever. Someone the most common one, something I'm working on right now. Someone throws a punch right in your face. It's really hard not to blink, and the longer you blink, the more open you are. So just little stuff like that. Like dude, it's the most badass picture ever. One of Floyd Mayweather, because he loves to. He has the lead arm low, so he can roll punches off his shoulders. So he likes to lean back, and then someone throws a punch, lean back just out of range, and then come back and crush him with a right hand. There's a bunch of these pictures. He's had such a long career. He's leaned back. The punch is just barely connecting with his face, and his eyes are wide open, staring right back at the guy, getting ready to pound him. It's such a sick picture. But
oh yeah.
Yeah. So stuff like that. Can you get it without actually sparring? No. So then what I'm realizing right now is it's how you organize the sparring. You got to do it in intelligent ways, and that really comes down to who you're sparring with, for one, and how you approach it. The issue, like I'm running into right now, I don't have a ton of sparring partners, definitely, especially not my size. The only one from actually there's one other guy I've sparred decently hard with, but the only one I've sparred hard with a few times is my instructor. I did, this is perfect segue for it, because I want to bring this up anyway, man. Just yesterday, I went down with my instructor to another Muay Thai gym in Massachusetts, like around Greenfield, so not that far from where I'm at, but went down to train with a few of their guys, and did some sparring with them. Going into it, this guy, he'd already given me a heads up, because he'd sparred, one of the guys I was sparring was a big dude, like, I think he said he was 230, 240, not 6 feet tall, so like big guy, not in crazy shape, like he was a thick guy, but had a ton of amateur Muay Thai fights, very experienced, a lot higher level than I'm at. These guys would have absolutely been down to spar way harder than I wanted, and the reason fortunately my instructor told me, he's like, I've sparred with this guy, he's like, I've swept him a few times, and a sweep is where you basically kick someone's feet out from under them, because you're not going to the ground in a Muay Thai fight, but there are a lot of sweeps. So whether it's from the clinch or you catch a kick their leg out, he's like, I swept him a few times. This guy got mad, and like we got into it. Like when things escalate real fast, it's not like jiu-jitsu, it escalates, someone gets choked, then it's right back to, it's a reset. You know what I mean? That's not a big deal at all. Someone kicks you in the head, I don't care who you are, you're going to get mad, and everyone's going to take that a different way. So I already knew that in my head going in. I'm like, I'm for sure not going in with some guys I don't know and escalate like getting into because I'm not trying to prove how tough I am, man. I'm trying to learn these techniques.
You got no ego in it. You're not even you're not there to have an ego, you know.
That defeats the whole purpose for me of trying to learn something like this, to go in hard-headed like this. So I'm sure these guys, they were both decent guys, and there's two of them that I sparred with, and they really great, respectful, the whole thing. It was clear they would have loved to spar harder, and the rounds they did with each other, they upped it significantly, went way harder. One guy actually, the big dude, hit the other guy with a knee right to the gut, and it stopped the round. He was a big, solid guy, and he had good knees. I went in, I purposely went slower and pulled punches back. Like my instructor was like, dude, you're not extending your arms all the way, and that is definitely don't want to get into that habit. But I wasn't pulling punches because as much as I could have landed a couple good shots, and then the guy probably would have knocked my head off. How does that help me learn anything? It does nothing.
It doesn't.
So what I'm getting at is, even though optimally it would be someone, the perfect training, it would be like if me and you, two guys who know each other, trust each other, are in the same way you're training jiu-jitsu with someone, you get comfortable. I know you're not going to try to kick my head off. Like, say if we were both learning kickboxing, we could spar and we're getting better, know what techniques to use, go harder and harder without feeling like someone's going to get, like, I'm not going to get angry because you caught me with a shot and then try to take your head off.
Yeah, because we're in it together learning, yeah.
The issue is, unless you just have the best gym ever with a great little group of guys that you know well, and even in that sense, you're always going to want different sparring partners anyway, because if you get too comfortable with one person, you're going to get sloppy and get in habits and learn their habits. It's not going to help you evolve anyway. So you're going to have to spar with people you don't know, and that was my first time out of my gym, the one I started at. I was pleased with how it went, even though I had to hold back a lot more than I would have liked. But I know exactly what would have happened if I pushed it. Again, these guys are more experienced. The one that was bigger, stronger than me, it wouldn't have gone well. And like I said, the purpose is for me to elevate the learning process, so that doesn't do me any good. So I think that's a little warning I'd give to anyone. If you do want to learn that, I think sparring is a necessary part of it. It should be minimized compared to, say, what like traditional fighters do, like boxing and Thai fighters. For sure, don't go in and have brawls every day in the gym, but you're going to have to get some sparring in. Get most of it with people you trust, like your instructors, your good training partners. And when you do mix it up with other people, whether you're going to a gym like I did or someone's coming in, approach it cautiously and know what's going down. If you do, hopefully you know something about the guy. Like I said, I was already told this guy, like if you you hit him hard, he's gonna come right back at you. So I made sure I'm just trying to work the basic techniques I'm working on and keep it. And when generally, if you're telling someone I want to spar at this pace and they're not staying to it, you shouldn't be sparring with them. Like I said, that guy absolutely, because I saw how he sparred with the guy right after me. He would have loved to go harder, but I was like, he was like, you let me know the pace, and we did a couple light rounds. I'm like, that pace is good for me. He stuck to it, so stand up guy right there. Like I had no issues with the session at all. Came out with my head intact and definitely learned a few things. Not that like I actually learned things that I need to work on, you know what I mean, which is the entire purpose of doing it, was sparring with new people. So yeah, I think it's a fine line. You step over, you're gonna take unnecessary damage. If you never you don't get close to that line at all, how are you gonna learn? Because it's gonna be really tough to just hit pads and then go in there and use the technique effectively.
And when you learn like that, I feel like when you learn like that, like when you learn in the midst of it, that's when like the real learning happens. Like, because you're in the position and it's actually happening to you. It's not like your instructor is showing it to you or somebody doing it on you, like say a arm bar on me. Somebody's trying to just practice it on me. When it's actually being done while we're going 75% or 50%. That's where you learn how to get out of it or how to really lock it in and stuff. I'm experiencing a lot of the same thing that you are. Like, I'm finding, just because of the way I look, you know, a lot of the bigger guys feel like they got to try to muscle me around, and fortunately, like I'm definitely probably one of the stronger guys there. I haven't seen everybody there, but like a lot of people come right at me full muscle, and they just want to like straight fucking, I guess, brutal just beat down almost. It's just like a straight wrestling match, and we're not learning anything. And it's literally because, like, I have no ego in it or anything. I know I'm gonna get fucking choked out by most of these people just because I'm brand new and shit, and I'm just trying my best. I'm really working on my defensive right now, but you know, when we do that, it's just straight up brawling. You know, like I even went against a guy that was fairly new to the jiu-jitsu, but he's been a wrestler. So like he looked at me and I told him I wasn't a wrestler. He swore that I was a wrestler. I was like, listen, man, I ain't a wrestler. And he was like going hardcore to the point where I matched him, but I like really kind of forced a couple things that I really didn't want to force. We were just like pushing each other around on the match, you know. Yeah. And then I go up against this dude that's a $145, and I looked at him. I was like, hey, man, I'm a little winded because I just got done fucking muscling a dude around for 6 minutes. I was like, can we just like roll at a nice pace, you know? And he's like, hey, I'll just match it, whatever it is. And that was it was the last time I just rolled. I mean, we roll 6 times. We do 6 rounds each practice, so it's about an hour worth of rolling, you know. So you're getting fucking serious cardio in there. But I rolled with this small dude, just my last one, and I learned more in that 6 minutes rolling with that guy than I probably have learned all fucking 10 sessions of jiu-jitsu I've taken. Just because he like worked with me, and I saw how he was trying to get out of certain holds that I was trying to put on him, and then I saw how he spun it and got me into a hold. You know, like I was actually able to pay attention and do it, and we were able to do still like 50%, you know, strength and shit and speed. And like I said, it's nice when you're working together to learn. When people put the ego right in there, like they just literally take from what I look like, you know, like, look, this dude, he's got muscle and
Yeah.
shit, so we're gonna fucking muscle this. Like, that's not how we learn, you know. It's just not gonna how it work.
And that's so from my perspective so far, like the second guy is the lighter one is exactly who you want to train with.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
The first guy, you might want to train with him occasionally.
Once in a while,
He's almost,
for sure.
So here's an analogy for it, and it's not like a direct parallel, but it would almost be like how often you want to max out. You know what I mean? Occasionally you want to go against a guy who's going to go full out, try to wrestle, do all sorts of shit. But most of the time you want to work the technique, work your set reps, and make your small progressions. And guys, you're gonna that's.
And you don't get
man,
fucked up that way, you know. You're not like I noticed when I was just rolling with the other guy, I wasn't having my fucking ear smashed or my fucking face pressed in the ground or my neck pulled on weird, you know, like.
So
like
that's
we
one thing, man. We're both starting to go down this road. I say and we're both trying to take a sensible approach. As much as jiu-jitsu has a lot less risk of the head trauma, as we just noted, like get your arm ripped out, rip a ligament or something, get a knee pop. For someone like us, that would seriously derail our lives. Like, dude, you get your knee popped, that would suck. You know what I mean? Like, same thing.
Done.
Like, someone kicks out my leg and blow an ACL. Like, I'm in not a happy dude. Like, can't train out. Come on, that would be terrible. So
if somebody fucks my shoulder up, like I definitely realize how much more on my shoulders this jiu-jitsu is than anything ever has been, honestly.
What I see, dude, this is an evolution of the same approach we've developed towards our fitness in the last few years, which is just a sensible approach. Like, how can we push it as hard, get the best results we can, but not do stupid stuff like, as we've noted a few times, if we kept doing those powerlifting type workouts, or just going all out like we were a few years back, I'm sure one of us would have got hurt. And we were making great strength gain. That was the strongest with the weights I ever was.
Yeah, same here.
Sure. That maxed it out for me. But where it's not, obviously it's not the most sustainable way to train, and it didn't align with our goals, especially not as they've developed. So I'm really glad to see both of us taking the same approach to learning these different martial arts. And what you said with the ear made me think of it. This is because this is so rampant with any type of combat sport, jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. Honestly, I don't know which one is worse. I see guys with both with their ears totally fucked up. We need to try to both learn whatever we're going to learn, however far each one of us wants to take this in whatever discipline, whether it's kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. Come out of this shit without cauliflower ears.
I know, man.
That shit is grimy.
Dude, I don't like it. Like, right now, my left ear is, like, super fucked up. I had a heavy dude, like, I was sideways on the ground, because you don't want to be on your back, for one thing. That's one. I mean, you do in some cases, I guess. I haven't learned enough to say. So this is what I gather,
and you can get the insight on this. The only time you want to be on your back is if you have like a world class guard. You know what I mean? You can throw some shit up like you're like a high level.
And it depends on too if they mount you, then it sucks being on your back. But if you have guard, like if you got your legs wrapped around them and you're able to like keep them away by just extending your torso, you know what I mean? You got a pretty decent guard right there. You can do quite a bit of shit from that position. But what I noticed is, like, when I was on my side, you know, and everybody's usually going for a lot of chokes. You know, a lot of chokes. We're always trying to shut the blood off or oxygen to our fucking dome all the time. Like, literally, I've been knocked out probably like 2 or 3 times to the point where I can't see for a second or two until the blood starts coming back, you know, choked out pretty good. But when somebody tries slamming your fucking hand in between the mat and your ear, and you're trying not to let them get their hand in there, and they're just fucking jamming it like hard too, because they want a little speed in there because they want to wrap your neck, you know, and your fucking ears in the way. That sucks, dude. Like, I didn't realize how important it was, you know, your fucking ears to protect them too. It's definitely a learning experience. I'm enjoying it, but that is a goal. No cauliflower here.
Sure. Man, I want to keep cauliflower on the dinner plate, not on my head. Man.
Yeah, like exactly.
Yeah, that's I want no part of that. But man, yeah, that's I'm glad we got into that, because I wanted to bring it up anyway, just that little sparring experience, because it was good. And again, I didn't go as hard as I would have liked, because I didn't know those guys, and that just makes sense to me. If you go in, and I think the same thing would apply to jiu-jitsu. Like, say a year down the road, you're traveling or somewhere else, going to a new gym, especially like you said, how you look, man. people are gonna look at you like a test, basically. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like anyone would. The same.
You got to
and
prove
I'm not-
yourself too.
I don't
you
think
know?
that's a bad thing at all. No, I'm just based off your physical build.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
all right,
yeah, yeah.
Clearly a strong guy. Like, let's see. And I'm sure in some gyms, we got someone try to rip your arm off or something. Just
Yeah,
you
no.
see that big dude who came in the gym. Yeah, I fucked him up. Like, and that's just, those are the people you want to avoid if you're trying to learn. If you're just
Yep.
for the few people. And I wouldn't recommend this for anyone, but some people are just trying to show how tough they are. And if that's the case, more power to you, man. Go find people who want to do that. Go at it. Have a war in the gym, but that's not what I'm trying to do.
That's one thing about jiu-jitsu, man, is I noticed all these people, they don't want to be doing that, you know what I mean? Like, they want to
But
be
there
able
are
to
guys
come in and
like
roll
that out
tomorrow. There is, and
Yeah.
that's why they're
It
hesitant
just-
to go against me, you know? Like,
Mhm.
because I'm new, so they just think I'm just going to go in there and just try
think you're a
using my
hothead.
brutal strength for
Mhm.
everything, you know? And like I've been told many times now by multiple people I rolled with, which the people that I'm rolling with now, is just getting bigger and bigger, which is cool because I get to roll with a dude that's as big as my dad, 300 pounds, and I can roll with a kid that's 140. You know what I mean? So I'm getting the full fucking range there. But they're coming and asking me to roll now because they can clearly see that I have no ego in the way. Like, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to, like, hold up to some expectation that I have for myself. I'm not
Exactly.
thinking that I'm better than I am, you know, like, I'm just clearly there to learn, and that's why those people are starting to come to me. I mean,
that's such a great mindset, because that's exactly what you're trying to be. Is exactly what I'm describing as the people like I would want to train with as a sparring partner. You know what I mean? That's exactly, like, not overstep the limits of sparring. And as I said, like, it's just some guys like to spar harder. I said those two guys I sparred with him. So one was that big dude. The other guy was just about my size in terms of he's thinking about fighting in the same weight class, somewhere around 170, 175. I think he said he was 190, probably about your height, but definitely had hit the weights a lot in the past. Said he benched 405, so like a strong dude for sure.
Yeah,
four
sure.
wheels. That's no joke. So he and same thing with him, and I'm sure he could have gone a lot harder, but he was respectful enough to go at a lighter pace with me. When those guys went at it, and like I said, their round ended with one guy taking a knee to the stomach and be like, all right, I'm done on this. We got to stop now. To me, I would rather, instead of going 2 hard rounds and then having to stop because I got the wind knocked out of me or got a headshot or whatever it is, I'd rather go 4 or 5 moderately hard rounds because I think I learn more that way.
Yeah.
But that's just me, and as I said, different approaches. But yeah, I like the way we're both approaching this, man. I really do see it as a direct evolution of how we approached weight training in the past. This is just another discipline. The reality is the stakes are higher, though. It's like, yeah, you could blow out a knee squatting, but it's more likely to blow out a knee if someone has you in a knee bar.
Yeah,
I mean,
fucking yanking on that shit.
That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I love how my instructor too, like a lot of he's funny guy sometimes. He'll like be talking and he'll be showing us like a leg bar or whatever and how he get it like this. He goes, see, if you have the foot this angle, this is how I'd break his knee with just a little bit of pressure. And he pulls out a little bit. He goes, you see how I feel that? And the guy's like tapping him. Yeah. And he goes, see how I take his toe and I turn it this way and I have his toe facing that way. And then it feels like your knee's going to pop out the side. He's like, yeah. You know, it's like, it's cool also that he lets us know how easy it is because he's been in the game for a long time. And he said he's seen arms break and stuff. And he sees that even with practicing, like I was saying, if I was going to be like mount somebody and I was going to spin around on their chest and grab their arm and fall back, like it's hard to do without hurting each other. So we really got to pay attention. You know, like when I'm training with somebody, what I'll do is I'll actually even grab their gi. Like if it's a big guy, he'll tell me to grab his gi with my other arm while he's practicing setting up that arm bar, so that I'm not going to just like let him flail out with my fucking elbow and in a chance that he could pop my rotator cuff or fucking fuck my elbow up, you know. So
yeah, and the thing is, there's just a time and a place, and it's so obvious to me that it's like, say for example with that, if you want to do a jiu-jitsu competition,
you're going
go right in,
for it. Yeah,
slam that fucking arm, and as soon as when the guy taps, stop it. Like if he doesn't tap right away, try to break that fucking arm.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a little bit where my mental state gets in the way because I don't feel like I'm like that. Like I have a hard time, like, because I feel like I don't
But
know,
that's
like I
the
wouldn't
thing.
want my fucking arm broken. So I don't know about breaking.
But you're
somebody's arm.
agreeing to do it if you compete, and if you do really feel like that, then that would just mean competition's not for you, man.
Yeah.
But I would suspect that you probably wouldn't have a problem doing it if someone was
I'm
trying
definitely
to
gonna try to compete.
do
for
it
sure.
to you.
Yeah.
Like the same thing. I mean, I personally, like, I would have no problem kicking someone's head in a kickboxing match. I wouldn't, because we both agreed to do that. You're trying to do that to me. I'm trying to do it to you. So that's the stakes of the game
That's
we're
true.
playing. If you're not, you haven't agreed to play that game. Like there's a lot of guys who train Muay Thai and kickboxing, and a ton, probably even more in jiu-jitsu, who would never have any intention of competing. Though that's not the time and place in any context with them to escalate it to that degree. But when you get to the actual competition, that's the agreement. Like, we're both trying to use these techniques in a devastating fashion. Let's do it, and you should be able to stop me. That's the I have no issue there, but I do think it's probably that line gets blurred way too often between when you should and shouldn't, like, really push techniques.
Yeah.
But I think and it really it worked fine for me. Also, like I said, yesterday there was no issues. Like, I'm not trying to go get knocked out, and it worked fine. I got what I wanted out of it, and it was a good positive experience. So I think it's a lot of it is up to you, because I said, you go into a new gym, you want to roll. Someone who doesn't know you is going to match your intensity. So if you grab their arm and rip it back, they're probably going to do the same thing to you, but up it a little more. You know what I mean? They're not just going to. Most guys aren't going to match you exactly. Like, I pop you in the face with a jab, maybe you're gonna smash me with a hook next time, just to, like, and that's another, just a little small thing I got from yesterday, and this has already got this already for earlier in training, but, like, you get popped in the face, just a light shot, like, it's like you want to be mad, like, on instinct right away. No one wants to get hit in the face, but I found, and this is, I'm pleased with myself because I wouldn't know exactly how I would react to that until I went through it. Like, it does, you still feel like a flash of anger in the second, but I have I don't need to react to it at all.
You don't hold on to it. Yeah, you don't hold on to it. Not even
for a second. Yeah, like, I can't say it's not there, because, again, anyone, if you can get punched in the face and not get angry, shit, I don't know, maybe the Dalai Lama can do that shit, but I think any normal person, no matter who you are, take a shot, it's going to make you angry, but it's about how you react to it. So regardless of whether or not you're trying to have a safe training session, or if you're trying to actually fight, getting angry at someone hitting you is not going to help, unless maybe you're one of those, like, old TRT'd up fighters. I'll stare it up and it's just pure rage and just smash, like Brock Lesnar style. But most of us normal mortal people, not non-enhanced ones, I don't think that anger is going to help you in any situation. I don't see how it could.
If anything, it's just going to cloud all your fucking judgment, and you're going to probably get fucked up. Yeah, honestly,
I see.
You know, that's what my instructor says. You know, like, you can't get mad. Like, we had a couple new people come in. He didn't say it to me when I came in. I was just by myself. But a couple new people came in, and that was the one thing that he said. He said, you can't take anything. You can't. What I forget how he said it. But anyways, he was saying that you can't hold on to nothing, because in jiu-jitsu, you're literally gonna be vulnerable, guaranteed, probably fucking 50 times in a night. You know what I mean?
But
like,
we don't even have to isolate fighting, man. Think about it. In any athletic pursuit, I really don't, in the competition, see where in any time emotion of any type, where anger, fear, sadness is going to help you perform better. In training, you can use any number of those things. Like, we've talked about it a lot in the past. It's very easy to use anger to fuel training, to up your intensity, but I don't think it works the same way in competition. You can't say, oh, like, I'm going to get real pissed off and amped up, it's going to help me. And you see, like, a lot of guys do that. It's a classic football thing, you know, like, headbutt the locker a bunch of times. Well, you just made yourself stupider before the game.
Yeah. Now you forgot 2 plays, dumbass.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, how often was that? We played football together, but you see guys headbutting the lockers before the game. Like, what are you doing?
What the fuck?
Foolishness, man. But so I don't think emotion is ever gonna help peak performance.
Other than passion, I think. Other than having that passion in what you're doing,
passion's
you know what I mean?
Hard to classify as an emotion, though. You know what I mean? Because you could say you could be, like, passionately angry, sad. I'm always saying that, like, it's passion an individual.
I guess
emotion?
it's a description
That's
of
kinda, Passion's almost more of like a different type of force behind it. Like I get what you're saying, and I'm with you, man. But you know what I mean? Because you could something like passion and anger could go hand in hand. You know what I mean? That could be, or sadness, or excitement, whatever. Though, but yeah, I don't know if I'd have to look up the definition of that shit to know for sure. I don't feel like it's actually an emotion. So I am with you on that 100% in a competition. Being passionately, like, fully invested in it, I think would probably be key. So
there you go. I guess fully invested in it would be a little bit better of a feeling towards it, you know.
Yeah, no, I think passion works. I just don't think, at least the way I use it, I don't think it's an emotion the same way like anger or fear is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that's definitions. I know what you mean, man. But yeah, this martial arts stuff is interesting, man. I feel like it, and it's so obvious, it's just what both of us needed, because we've gone through so many phases of our training, and this is what it is for me. I'm not in the pursuit of trying to be like the most badass fighter, not by any means. It's just I'm trying to maximize my training, just like I always have. And for me, this kickboxing, Muay Thai training is a perfect way to do that. It's a way to push my physical training to another level. Well, I'm 26, and I've been saying this for years, man. During this window till, 30, 35, 40, 50, depending on what area we're talking about maximizing your physical capacity, I want to push it just because it's fun for me. That's what I like to do with myself. And man, like you just see it. You see it all over. We see it with our parents. You see it if you have older friends. No one escapes the aging process. So I'm just saying, why not use it while you got it? Like what?
Hell yeah.
We don't have to. Like, you know what I mean? We're not living in caveman days. You don't have to go savage and go hunting and do all sorts of crazy shit.
No, but I feel so good doing it. It
feels like, yeah, for me personally, it feels like I'm on the right path when I do. Like, I know for me, putting all this effort into my physical training is worth it. So it's hard to break down exactly why. Like, we can give a lot of benefits we get from it, but it's hard to say like this is absolutely makes it worth it. But I got to say, in my heart, I know it is. I'm knowing.
Yeah, it's just like an unexplainable emotion. Yeah.
Maybe it's passion.
like I just the other day I was thinking to myself, like the first couple of times I fucking rolled, my neck was fucking jacked up, my shoulders were jacked up, they were getting torqued on and twisted, and my head was not used to getting pulled on like that, and I had like 3 days, man. Like, it took me to recover. Like, I didn't work out or nothing, because I couldn't even look down and take a piss. I couldn't even see my fucking dick. My neck was.
I told you. I don't think I said it. Yeah, I didn't say it at the beginning of this. I got a little standing setup right here because I wanted to stand up. One of the reasons is because my neck is all stiff and sore from having a fucking 230-pound dude hang off my neck in the clinch and trying to keep my head up so my face isn't in a position to take one of those knees. Like,
yeah. So and then we want more. We want more. Like, I feel like that. I mean, and now, like, I'm able to entail, like, my workouts and hiking and doing jiu-jitsu. And
dude, so
I'm, like, brutally hammering myself, and I love it,
This morning, like, I'm loosening up, doing my normal morning stretches. I'm like, neck sore obviously was from that clinching I did yesterday. The first thought that pops into my head, I was like, well, it won't be as sore next time I do that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's like the thoughts that I had. Yeah,
it's part of the journey, man. Yeah.
And
it's that's how you really get something out of it. You pay attention to the process, because that's why we do this. Because still, even with this, like, maybe the same way we have in weight training in the past, and I still think you should have that similar bench goal, because it's been on your radar for a while, to put up 4 wheels on the bench press. But
I will.
Sure you'll develop different goals in jiu-jitsu, whatever it is. If you start competing, it'll be easier to define. Same with me. Like, I'll get different little goals in within the realm of kickboxing, but that's not what I don't have any long-term goal that's keeping me motivated and passionate about it. It's just what I'm doing right now. Like, oh, it was really cool learning those kicks the other day. I want to work on that. Doing it right now. That's what keeps me going. And that one's hard to explain to people, man, how you stay so invested in something without a end goal, and that's because the end goal might not be there.
Plus it's an investment into yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you're making an investment into yourself.
But that might not even matter, and I'm with you on that. Like, that is part of the reason I do it, but tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Like, again, you don't know what happens when you hop in your truck and get on the freeway. You don't know if your investment is going to pay off. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's it's putting money in the stock market. You don't know what's going to happen. We're putting all this work into ourselves. We don't know if it's still going to be usable. Or, and I hate to go down this negative type road, but it's just reality. You got to be aware of all of it. You don't know if your knee is still going to be intact next year. You know what I mean? You never know what's going to happen. So you don't know if
but still, what you invested. Like, I think I get into a lot of debates with a lot of my fellow school fucking everybody in my IN there, and maybe a lot of it's about just like the investment, like you're talking. Like, when you invest into yourself, what I fight over with or start debating with a lot of people about is, I feel like no matter what it is, like even like you're saying, like say you're doing all this kickboxing, you blow your fucking knee out, all the kickboxing is not worth it, but it still wasn't. Yeah, but it still was an investment into you. You still are, maybe your health changed, maybe you have a better outlook on something.
Maybe you have different level, because you know I agree on that. It's the same with weight training. If we get an enormous mental return on that, so say exact situation, I blow out my knee, I can never do any Muay Thai training again. I'm definitely not fighting, not trying to kick anyone's head off. I feel like the mental return I got would be worth it if I'm around. What I'm saying in this context is, it's just some more being present in the moment type shit, man, because I don't know if I'm going to be around next year. I'm planning on it. Don't get me wrong. Like,
I guess I see how you're looking at it.
That's
being
the
in the moment.
But I'm saying what keeps me going is being truly interested and engaged in the process right now, because like I said, I don't know if it'll pay off. We don't know if we'll be around for that. So we all hope we will, and it's likely. Again, we're both young and healthy, man. It's not likely anything's going to happen, but it's all a possibility. Like I said, if we
all we have is right now.
You know, honestly, learn that lesson the hard way with people passing in the last few years. So it is what it's something. Like I said, I don't think it's something that you should even look at in a negative way at all. It's just more and more motivation to do what you want to do right now in this moment. So it's just a perspective. It's not like I'm set on that side. You know what I mean? I like both sides we were hitting on it, because I agree with you. Like, we get tons of return besides just the physical benefits from the training, but it's also why do you do it right now? You know what I mean? Why do you throw down a kettlebell circuit so you're fucking breathing, heart rate spiked at 180 beats per minute, dripping sweat all over the gym? Why do you do it in that moment? I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Because you feel good right then, because you know you're going to get an investment down the road, but it's also just because you like the process right there. You know what I mean? You like what you're doing in that actual moment. So I think it's all important.
See, what I was bringing up was like the overall, like, long term, and what you brought up I really like too, because you're bringing up like the now. Like the now being like just being in the moment, and like you really kind of wrapped it up for me together, just thinking about it. Like, all those things that I'm doing, like I try to thrive to live in the now. Like, I just think about it. Like, we went for a hike yesterday, I take a moment to myself and just think about the people I went on the hike with, and think about where I am and stuff. Like, that's why I took myself back, like, holy shit, I'm in the Colorado mountains, you know, fucking hiking. And I didn't realize until you just said that every time I'm in this gym, I'm in the now. Every time I go to jiu-jitsu, I'm in the now. Every time I make my smoothie, you know what I mean? And sometimes it doesn't taste the best. You know, I'm just in the now. You know, that's what a lot of us are totally lose. Like, I definitely have been doing it and haven't been as aware of it just because now I'm really starting to click it all together. But the now is where a lot of us are lacking, and if more of us lived in the now, I feel like there'd be a lot more happy people on the planet. You know?
Definitely, I'm getting a lot more focused on that too. And like for someone like myself who tends to overthink things, and that's what's instantly drawn me to all the physical training, and then especially something like Muay Thai. It's just very easy to be engaged in. You know what I mean? That's what working out has always done for me. It's brought me into right here to focus on something I really like doing right now. But same thing, man. I like the flip side of that coin you brought up, which is the long-term investment and all the returns you get on that down the road, because they're both important. It's just a fine line. Like, when you're doing the actual training, I think you should be fully invested in that moment right there. But maybe after the training, it's worth thinking about long-term, what you get from it, plans you have down the road. I'm not. It wouldn't make it wouldn't be practical to try to like ignore the future. You know what I mean? We all know it's coming. So
there's so many people that do though. I mean, you must experience it too with like so many people just ignore the future and like they think they're living in the now too, and they're not living in the now. I don't want to cut you off,
but that's what I'm saying. They're not planning for the future, but they're also not present. It's like, where the fuck are they? You know what I mean? It's like some weird limbo area that. Yeah, I think that
it's almost like you need to give him some weed to smoke. Be like, dude, smoke this so you could be in the now at least.
Dude, yeah, something. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's a blurred line between those, but I think that one's worth straddling. You know, having one foot on either side, being looking towards the future and everything you might plan on for that, and just trying to focus on what you're doing right now. So. Yeah, man. Like I said, it's kind of like sparring, man. It's a balancing act. Between
everything's about balance. You know, life needs balance. You can't have too much one way. You can't have too much another way. You got to find that nice point.
I know he didn't make it up, but that was one of the first Conor McGregor quotes I heard too. So he's in the gym doing pistol squats just off like a bench. And in some kind of interview, like they're following him around with a camera, so doing pistol squats, obviously balancing on one foot. And, life is all about balance. Like classic Conor quote. So we'll end on that, man. Balance. Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure.
Dude, that's like what my whole purpose of my Better Me LLC is all about. Is just helping people find that balance. A lot of people are definitely a little off, so. It's a good spot to leave it at, you know? Fucking Conor McGregor, keep it in balance.
We could all use some balance, man. So, Green Mountain Views on Instagram, gmv802@gmail is the email if anyone wants to hit us up for anything. As I said, any help on how to up our podcast game on Skype would be greatly appreciated.
Throw some comments up. We're definitely looking for some comments. I'd like to get a little feedback out there, see who's listening and how we sound.
I just want to give a thank you to anyone who listens to this at some point in the future, man.
For sure.
And on that, we're out of here.
Peace.